Блять, я себя слышу. А. Не закрыто. Я опять на пустом месте. Окей. Опять МФ-ка. Как же мне надоело уже. О, Няк уже на автобане. На автомате уже баню. Он просто такой супер бесячий перс. ТФ. На каком-то языке в центре надпись. Мне 69к ПТС. Зефирка 3. О, чел русский. Наш чел. Как говорится, на все.
fact, it was never really a choice. "30 seconds to video games. 30 seconds.
Заимтили то наеду.
Now, murder each other for money.
Заимтили. Знал. Блять, почему игра залагала? Бля, почему игра говна лагает? Мэпка еще до конца осталась. Это дура. Блядь, не лагает. На, поебало. Теперь поебало мне было. Я не хочу ФБ отдавать. Ну надо, быстрее двигайся. Не, ну я сдохну. Это понятно, что я тут сдохну. Не. Но все еще с первым левелом. А, нет, уже вторым. А я... Да, я хочу кружку прокачать. Надо быстрее, надо. Нормально так запустили, конечно.
We have first blood.
Too bad, да. А, ну еще нормально. На удивление.
Impressive.
Нормально, да, нормально, давай. Я обману на нуле, абсолютно.
Now this is disgusting.
Мне даже печенек нет. Бесполезно сейчас на лане стоит. Я могу сапоги купить. Не, сейчас буду стоять на линии, то я буду просто бесполезным говноедом. Зачем долго это спал? Это где-то у нас. Где там?
Death to them all.
Бля, ну МФ-ка парни. На, тупая говноедка.
They aren't gonna like this.
Will someone please stop
Yep,
this
why not?
person? They're ruining the game. Now, this is disgusting.
Yep. That makes it better.
Да.
All the colors.
Не, смогу да, под башню смог.
Will someone please stop this person? They're ruining the game.
Я понял.
A double slaughter. Killing spree.
Двигайся быстрее, Машка. Ну хоть что-то купил, он ладно, что собирает, пытается. Пока что-то началось что-то. О, у нас Акарь. О, Карь вообще. О, нет, это Кари. Ну,
Now, this is disgusting.
не, нас давит, нас давит.
Quite a spree.
Нас давит. А ладно, хотя бы Геральт защитили. Забрали Кей. Алё, ну лоу ХП. Вот, мёг тебе парень. Там на 2 скрипов отстаю.
Rampage. The enemy's tower just screamed and exploded for no discernible reason. Unstoppable.
Не двигайся быстрей. 0. Ладно, суппорт он наполовину меньше. Я думаю, что даже суппорт у них больше крипов, чем наши мэрки. Ну нет.
Dominating.
Кайфуем. А, ну у всех тим по 2 смерти, окей. Кроме у топера. И, как всегда, топер хоть что-то делает у нас. Другие просто херней страдают абсолютно.
Impressive.
Че, реально думаю, что я его не видел. Да вы издеваете, если хил просрал.
Turret plating will fall soon.
You're looking a little green.
Ну мы, ради бога, ты что ты делаешь?
Godlike.
Ура, она сделала первый свой скилл. Первый. 15 минута, первый килл у ВДК. Ну.
Will someone please stop this person? They're ruining the game. The slaughter continues.
Лол, я тебя сделал, я.
Death to them all.
Мы на 15 минут и только Дрейка забираем первого. Но это абсурд дикий, но это... Я просто вжу голос от такого, от нашей игры. Ну, блин. У нас это Казио только свой первый килл, и у него фарм 59. Я понимаю, что он там хотел на 5, там, 7-8 крипов. Но там 15 больше, но это абсурд, кого типа ни хера не делает. Ну, у нас, правда, ради нас задавили нормально. У нас еще и заители. Ну, просто прикол года.
Will someone please stop this person? They're ruining the game. A condition for owning.
В наш лес уже как свей ходит. Как дома. Никто вообще не смотрит на мини-карты. Бро, вообще никто. Ай. Мини-карты не существует. Всем 0-0. Вот по классике топ у нас вот что-то делает, все остальные типа ничего нас Акали делает. 7-3-1. Ладно. Акали что-то делать. Окей. Хоть башню рушить немного. Герат не заберем. Вся тема на своих лайнах стоит, и еще кто-то будет вести. Алло, Мудрейка. Да, Мудрейк забрал. Чуть на 15 минут.
Death to them all.
It's me!
Не. Я уже откровенно фижусь.
Own it. Unstoppable.
Потому что надо бы эффектнуть.
Make that 2.
Но я понимаю, что все будут голосовать за нет, потому что ну, мы вроде тащим, когда у нас ход. Ой, блин.
The enemy's tower just screamed and exploded for no discernible reason. Now, this is disgusting. Well, you had better win after this.
Окей, пойду на мир. Ну, мы перед ним слушай.
Will someone please stop this person? They're ruining the game.
Лол, я чубурек. Думаю, мэхли. Ура, мы на 20-й минуте идем на башню, окей. Бля, куда ушла?
I wonder if it feels good to pose so hard.
1-6.
Lives taken. Impressive. Now this is disgusting.
1-5.
Holy shit. A condition for ownage has been met. Incredible. Look how efficiently you all died. Will someone please
На
stop this
20-й
person?
минуте
They're
покупаю
ruining the
только
game.
первый предмет Battle Song. Она такой супер абсурд. Здорово. Отлично, блядь, играем. 15 минут только первый Battle Song. Ура, мы идем, блядь, пушить башню. Ну-ка,
The
20-я
enemy's
минута,
tower just
поехали.
screamed and exploded for no discernible reason. The enemy's tower just screamed and
Далеко
exploded for
мотали.
no discernible reason. Now this is disgusting.
Ну, бля, ну... Блядь, я сейчас сдохну. Она уйди от меня, отъебись.
The enemy's tower just screamed and exploded for no discernible reason. We're now in the generic max kill
Я так
spree
хочу FF,
dialogue.
но я понимаю, что... Ну, по-любому проголосуется нет. Потому что, ну, мы вроде так.
Death to them all. Will someone please stop this
Yeah, у нас
person?
это-
They're ruining the game.
На, нихера, у нас это... Дыре подключилась. Не, ну откровенно надо уже просто кушать мид. Блять, не идет.
The enemy's tower
Oh,
just
только
screamed
что
and
слышал.
exploded for no discernible reason.
О, на.
Impressive.
Бля. Бля. Понял, еще урон? 280. Убили меня, я бы там лежал бы. И почему не убил даун? О,
Holy shit.
это пиздец. Надо уже просто забыть делами и идти просто пушить ми. Все. Становится бесполезно. Сейчас заниматься этим. Я куда полез? Я даже не могу тут прожать, потому что типа все лоу хп, когда надо.
Death to them all.
Ура! 1-7. Моя самая смешная игра в негативном плане. То, что не была в положительном плане смешная игра, но это просто пиздец. А, 324, окей, нормально. Но все равно... 30 крипов.
Condition for ownage has been met. A double
Блин,
slaughter.
я на лоу купе чела прожал.
Death to them all.
О,
Ownage.
давай. Блять. Не, могли бы. Если бы я не прожал бы чел на лоу купе чела, могли бы вырезать этот файт. Теория. Теория. Хотя в собой второй перемет дешевый. Но они типа уже он почти фулл сборки. Ну, неудивительно к 27 минуте собрать фулл сборку, когда вы выигрыш. Ну, понятно, у меня сама такая же история была. Вижу.
A condition for ownage has been met. 2 innocent lives taken.
It's me!
Пиздец, блядь.
Большие города, пустые поезда, ни берега, ни дна. Все начинать сначала. Холодная война.
Да.
Ownage. A condition for ownage has been met. Now this is
Ну,
disgusting.
нормально, это поэтому.
Death to them all. A vicious double slam. Triple kill. Death to all of you as penance for your sins.
Здорово. Ладно, мы что-то начинаем делать, окей. 1.9.8. Надо вак поставить.
The enemy's tower just screamed and exploded for no discernible
О,
reason.
нормально. Ну хуй знает, братан.
The enemy's tower just screamed and exploded for no discernible reason.
Бля, кому тут рожать?
Murdering avatars in a fake sport. A condition for ownage has been met. The
Проебали.
enemy's tower just screamed and exploded for no discernible reason. Incredible. Look how efficiently you all died. Impressive. Death to them all.
Бля, я ж могу. Блять, или это Амбис, не помню. А вот анонсер. Бля, нам надо пройти Стэнли
Ladies and
Фарм.
gentlemen, Digital Sports.
Там как раз вроде есть встроенный русский перевод. Ну, субтитры хотя бы.
Все машет мне рукой, каждая судьба завязана со мной, и в памяти живой.
In the diagram.
А, мы забрали, окей.
You'll see more with your eyes closed.
Загар не досперр, тут мы сон позвали мансум, пейзажи как во сне. Но чем замазать тоску по месту, где нас нет здесь? Пусть не комфортно и не лефортово, а ты упорно ждешь телефона домой, чтобы торкнуло по старой формуле в дом родной, где нет Гордунга. Здесь ты видел все шахты Дортмунда, скалы Корнуэлла, стадо Морла, раннего Орвала, книг на ладони странника мир, пока святит Горбан и все пьяно. Комом в горле водку не стало, тот работник швейцара, в таком водке Шинзана, ну или что делать, если победа разумом и все.
Now this is disgusting.
Позади райну расу.
Бля, сколько у него урона?
Someone please stop this person, they're ruining the game. A double slaughter.
Сказать стоп, остаться писать стоп, ссать, что умрешь, ну если мигрантский запас стоп, без подпитки живой настоящий. Думал, ты выживешь без нее, но расстояние лечим. Согласись, думал, пройдет, все ничего расстояние лечит. Но язык твой так и не стал ни на грамма не меченым, грамма грядеши лишь ладони и кар сложил ближе к колбу. За спиной таракани бега, Париж и Стамбул. 300 коньяка, самолет все выше и стал вдруг описать круг, как мыслям точкой дерзать, друг отдал в лесу. Любовью чужой горят города, извилистый путь затянулся петля.
Can we please bring a little excitement back to the game? How about you kill your own courier? Yeah, that would really spice things up. A vicious double slaying. A dominant performance. Will someone please stop this person? They're ruining the game.
Бля. Че он хочет? Через стоп пойти?
Smaller than the diagram.
Ебать тут варду. Ладно, кто с ним проживет. Я надеюсь.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Digital sports.
Блядь, топ не смог просто без
good
меня.
God.
Сука. Блядь. Окей. Окей. Блядь, сука.
Practicing. 2 innocent lives taken. A condition for ownage has been met.
2:13. Get slow. Я все же удивлен, как из полного имени Барбара получилась Варя.
Death to all of you as penance for your sins. Without your barracks, the map really is much cleaner.
Блядь, проебали. Ну да.
Yes, still killing people, still doing it.
Ну мэф начала, блядь, пиздец. Бля. Бля. Что?
A double slaughter.
Бля, выпивай.
Now this is disgusting. Ownage.
Вот это мистер Лоу.
Ownage has been met. Will someone please stop this person? They're ruining the game. Incredible. Look how efficiently you all died.
Где он в ультиму убил? О, бля, хорош. Ай. Я в него пресса. Блядь, сука. Вот это будет камбэк. Ну, братан, давай, пошли. Кали в лес пошла. Сука. Поёбись.
Two innocent lives taken.
Почему? Я, блядь, так вижу. 3:15. 3:15. И, бля, ну... Проебать.
Все. Проебали. Ой-ой-ой.
Блядь. Хуйня. Бля, мне что-то не так надеялся на камбэк. Ну как надеялся, я думал, что думал. У меня были надежды на камбэк. Блядь, офигеть.
Will someone please
У
stop
меня
this, please?
уверенно...
They're ruining the game. The enemy's tower just
Что за
screamed and
абсурд?
exploded for no discernible reason.
Меня тупо звук пищи выбивает.
Death to them all.
Типа, я даже никак не могу помочь Тиме, потому что я хочу прийти помочь, что-то прожимаю, все, я дохну. Я типа прожимаю очень флешку килл, меня все равно подыхаю. Типа не слишком дикий урон. Я напил. 50 до 50. Типа, ну супер бесполезный кусок говна сейчас. Мелкий кусок говна бесполезного. У которого там от слова саппорт, там ничего нету. Типа, блядь, я просто хожу, я прожимаю, 2 скилла сразу сдохну. Вот такая... Да ну! Ебать, как вообще смогли? Вот это... Чё? Да ну... Ну, блин. Несколько ПТС дали. Я с нулевой думал, что мы придем. Что нас заинтили. Ну вот, не заранее. Ну вот нас топ что-то делал. Мафа, что у нас херней страдала? Типа с нулевой. Похоже. Сейчас иду. Да не, ща. Сейчас иду. Оба. Автоцеп это вещь. Ну, Даша Дрикс это. В общем, даже не у Харлова логика, а Харлова логика, в общем, прям кайфовая. Вообще надо. Кстати, я рофлу на днях заходил на ру-сервак. Ну так, супер по рофлу. Я там пост 4 минуты показывал, все такой. Вы серьезно? А потом меня еще и кинуло на лес. Даже я забыл указать, что у меня другая роль. Не лес. Меня с первой же катки закинуло на лес. Кек. О, терафину хочу. Вот не дай бог они пикнут Нека. Или как там, Ника. Ника. Варвик. Надеюсь, я сейчас не накаркал. Батя тебе купил энергос, да ну. Я беру, ну сколько стоит? 75? Вот бы прям напротив, прям недалеко от моей школы бы только. Ну где эти все подряд продают. Ты про мою тиму или про них? Бля, кстати, что это, бля. Каких долбоев не закидывают Тима? Я буду, бля, это будет рофл дняйся, даже с такой рофл, с таким рофл драфтом мы сможем выиграть. Я надо еще, кстати, ганфлит, но... О, блядь, не за инициат. Да нет, там, блядь, сверху уже сделал. Еблан.
Now, murder each other for my amusement.
Бля. Если что, Никитос, я Discord аккаунт деактивировал нахуй. Так что ищи фапак 228. А нет, 2288. Я заебался дискордом. Блять, куда я зашел?
We have first blood.
Сука. У меня фокус внимания на час ушел. Проебаем. ФБ отдал. Какие планы. Сука. Ну алё, чел, рекордся. Тебе нечего тут делать. Что ты тут делаешь, это место для крутых? Нет, я же знаю, что там чел. Я все равно иду челать, фейс чекать. Так, не бойся, ради бога. Ну что, это все еще не тэпнулось? Да, ура, мои молитвы были услышаны. Куда я лезу? В жизни меня ничего не учит.
Impressive.
Блять. Надо вар поставить. Но... Но увидел. Нет.
You'll see more with your eyes closed.
А у меня вардов нет. Бля, ну ты такой умный лес, то ставь сам варды. Проебали.
That tasted purple. What's up?
Блять. Я об этом и говорю, дуры. Желаю зафармить 5 посреднего. Достань ты. Она только сейчас?
Keep murdering.
Да.
Death to them all.
Блять. Бля, я снова полез в эту же дыру. Идет каска говна. Каску. Жизнь меня ничего не учит. У нас все, не все с ультой уже, ё-моё.
Now, this is disgusting.
Ой-ой.
Impressive. Death to them all.
Прям. Эй, ну, полезно.
I recommend.
Rampage.
Фидим. Откровенно, блядь, снова фидим. Сука.
Nosy do it.
A condition for ownage has been met. Will someone please stop this person? They're ruining the game.
Turret plating will soon fall.
Ownage.
Yup. That taste is purple. Too tall. Not tall. Heads up.
A double slaughter. A condition for ownage has been met.
Лоу. Птица мертвая. Давай, брат. Как? Нахуя мне на лоу хп чел давай?
Now, this is disgusting. Impressive. The enemy's tower just screamed and exploded for no discernible reason.
Например, просто. Она будет 40 лайсом просить, конечно. Ебаный щит.
The enemy's tower just screamed and exploded for no discernible reason. A dominant performance. Death to them all.
Блять.
Two innocent lives taken. Quite a spree.
Только сейчас до него дошло.
A condition for ownage has been met. Will someone please stop this person? They're ruining the game. Ownage.
Нормально.
The enemy's tower just screamed and exploded for no discernible reason.
Блять.
Now this is disgusting.
Только на 20 минуте покупаю Battlesong.
Impressive.
Обожаю. Что, флеш проебал? Нет.
Will someone please stop this person? They're ruining the game.
Я тебе забыл Oracle Lines брать. Кайф. Живи, брат.
Death to them all. Now this is disgusting.
Блять, Варвик. Что? Бля. Там, пойду пешком. Я выжил.
Death to them all. Impressive.
У меня фонарик на телефоне включился. И камера. Точнее, камера с фонариком.
Killing spree.
Блять, не ту кнопку прожал.
Will someone please stop this person? They're ruining the game. A condition for ownage has been met.
А!
Death to them all. Double kill.
Я жив, йоу.
The enemy's tower just screamed and exploded for no discernible reason. Dominating.
Шара, шара. Бля, мой.
Ownage.
Weird.
Now this is disgusting. A condition for ownage has been met. Make that two. Will someone please stop this person? They're ruining the game.
Блять, снова. Ох уже. такой бесполезный чем. Урон ни хрена, ничего. Писал супер мелкий. Не понимаю, как было. Были надежды.
Now this is disgusting. Death to them all. A condition for ownage has been met. Ownage.
Блядь.
Death to them all. A condition for ownage has been met. Death to all of you as penance for your sins. Impressive.
Чё? А как? Как какать? Ну, блядь. Нормально. Чё даже за меня проголосовал? Реально камбэк кит. А он даже не в онлайне лол. Я сейчас это скачаю Стэнли, пойду в него. Не хочу, блять, эту хуйню. Ой. Хотя ладно, одну что последнюю сыграй на сегодня. Как у меня там Stanley Parable Ultra скачать. Устанавливается точнее. С ними. Угу. О, а сейчас оказывает Вичком. Лоу, здесь этот Боба Росса повторяет. Чек. КВ. А, мониторинили, окей. Блять, нет, это тоже. Я не хочу играть. Я хочу Стэнли Парабл. А вот. Нашел пустое место все же. Эй, где у меня курсор? Рашвин. Нет, я не помню ничего оттуда. Да, я где? Ну ладно, вот так. О, блядь, почему я... А может не... А может мне новый надо источник создать? Я может любого полный экран он... Или может мне просто окно? Блять, не то. У меня игра не... А, ладно, окей. 14 день. Ну, это получается 2 дня. ДАМ. О, ничего. Где 2 часа ночи, то есть получается это ПМ. 2:20. Я знаю, что ничего не видно. Может мне полный экран надо? Бля, почему я... Может мне... Он ни в каком виде меня не захватывается. Ладно, короче, будет экран просто. Ладно, вот последний заход. Это не, никак не захватывается. И я не буду ставить, блядь, ультра настройки. Меня ком задохнется. Я надеюсь, не будет проблем с тем, что у меня захват экрана, а не игры, потому что блядь, не захватывается у меня просто.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk,
Работа
telling
мечты.
him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year.
Сейчас сделаю потише. В этом... Как даешь, что у меня этот микшер в 11 видео запускается, блядь, на весь экран, а не...
And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in. As though he
Я
had been
хочу на
made
такую
exactly
работу, где
for
ты
this
просто
job.
тыкаешь на клавишу. Аж работу программистом.
Was happy. And then one day,
Почему?
something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from
Вариант диктора сделать чуть-чуть потише.
his desk and stepped out of his office.
Почему тут вместо семерки 4 поставили? Такую шутку испортили. Опять не могу тут. Блять. Может, я слушать могу экран. Не. Вот игра еще никак не захватывается. Почему, блять? Я даже не могу самостоятельно выбрать, типа. Я решение не могу выбрать. Бля, почему мне теперь 4 на 3-то? Что я сделал? Блять, что я сделал? Окей, я знаю, тут... Двадцать 4. Ой, блядь. Братан, я просто перезапустил игру, не надо вот это все. А, ну вот, если разрешение дали выбрать. Чё, господи. А, ну, короче, будет захват экрана.
This is the story of a
Я
man.
только что слушал. Передал 8.
All of his co-workers were gone. What
А
could
в
it
четыре
mean?
за мной закрылась.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't
как там,
find a
во,
trace of his
так.
co-workers. At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the
Обидно.
game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we
Да.
take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
О, даже это... Нет.
Ah, then in that case, we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly
Мне просто
different?
будет ТПшно
Would I have
обратно.
taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh,
Я
and this is
послушаю
rich.
все
Perhaps you
реплики.
just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now,
Ты определись, мне
I've
повезло или
built up the
нет?
other options so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever.
И мне надо сейчас сменить категорию. Сытким. Стэнли пара был. Утро делюкс. Ура.
Cheers.
Интересно, что он скажет. А, мне мне не надоел этот прикол. А если да, мне надоел. Ясно, блин. Алло, мне надоел этот прикол. Доел. Надоел. Прикол. Рик. И Морти. Я буду скоржу, кстати. Я реально скоржу. Что будет, если отойти?
All
Да.
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he
Мне
had
кажется,
simply
что
missed a
вот
memo.
этот баг это вообще не
No
вовсе не
matter how
баг, а
hard
фича.
Stanley looked, he couldn't find
Или
a
они это
trace of
был
his
реально баг, а потом
co-workers.
сделали это фичей. Кто же знает.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain.
Yeah.
There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function.
Good job.
Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too
Ой, если случайно.
will become quite unbearable.
Yes.
You too will become quite unbearable.
Это бесконечный трек или у него есть время? То есть это гитара на репите или как? Нет, на репите гитара. Вот еще чуть-чуть. Как будто соображать несколько раз эскейп просто вот так. Что-то скажет? Не, он ничего не сказал.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he
Yeah.
had simply missed a memo.
Надо триггер запустить. Эй. Дверь не закрывается? Окей. Опа! Нет, у нас сама закроется, окей. А вот это не может скрываться. Опа. А, нет. Я думал, надо рать притчи, закроют с собой двери. Нет, не поймаю. Я хотел закрыть двери с собой.
When Stanley came to a set
не
of two
успел.
open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Не могу забраться. Вот, ладно, я буду идти ровно по сюжету, короче. Наверное. Может быть. Кубочек, пожалуйста.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ты чё там? Откройте.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Я могу? Я не могу. Я хочу сломать игру. Да, игра сама у меня. Ну так скрипит эта дверь. Тут еще что? Чё это за... Я не помню его, нигде не видел. Иду по сюжету. Ага. Надеюсь, лифты сломаются. Мы вернулись туда же? Я вернулся туда же. Не, если я налево, на низ опущусь. А, просто невидимая стена. Здорово. Я решил идти по сюжету, но я спустился в какой-то лифт. В офисе начальника. Я не помню, я нигде не видел вот этот лифт. Я уже поднялся наверх, но я вернулся в тот же кабинет начальника. Пока что этот лифт никуда не едет. Не, который не секретный, типа по пин-коду, а где этот вот такой. Ну, типа секретный, если типа судить. Ну, не с игровой точки зрения, а с точки зрения, типа, обычного работника. Где там, типа, ты пин-код вводишь и открываются такие. Я тебе зашел куда-то в соседнюю дверь и вот. Это я сейчас спускаюсь вниз. Минуту. То есть это буквально лифт, который просто трясется. Сделаю так. Если я прожимаю на аренде кнопки, интересно. Надо так угол поймать. Ну выталкиваю. Должно что-то быть. Снова, блядь, я сюда вернулся. Бесполезный лифт. Серьезно? Вот если в реальном лифте нажать одновременно кнопки. Рай.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
3, 4,
8.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs.
была бы.
Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Я долго, кстати, могу находиться здесь. Не смогу взбесить наратора. Стэнли был тупым чалком.
It turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well,
И наконец пошел дальше по сюжету, сколько может. Интересно, сколько еще могу спрашивать? Кого? Стэнли? Или наратора? Это не вижу. Блять, не, там 2, 4, 8, 5. 2. Так. 2, 8, 4, 5. Это 5. Так, я понял. Если яркость повышена, то... А буквально там ничего нет. Сейчас, коррекция цвета. Яркость. О, не. Ой, блядь, не то. Или как там? Ты такой ключ, как там в Майнкрафте делал. Чтобы яркость была. Во-во-во. Буквально ничего нет. Два восемь. Не-не-не. Два восемь. 4. Ничего не началось. Я думаю, типа, этот наратор начнет говорить: ура, ты смог ввести этот чертовый пароль даже в темноте. Вот это ты гений. Оп, блин, невидимые стены. Ой.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Все, я вверх спускаюсь, не хочу продолжить.
Nope. Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the
Stanley
elevator.
вернулся в лифт.
Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out.
Вверх спускаешься.
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it
А
is.
если еще раз
What a
спущусь?
decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow. I'm bolted to the edge of my seat. Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again.
Потом
Ladies and
я
gentlemen,
поднимусь еще
how
раз.
does he keep coming up with all of this?
И еще покручусь 2 раза вокруг себя и попою. Вот не хочу. Вот
Did you
такая
think we were
загадочная
going to
личность.
go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
Я чё... А, по идее, я не могу спуститься обратно.
Oh my god.
Пойди, испуги, я обосрался, что ты сейчас скример вылезет.
This absolutely changes everything for me.
Вот эта
Give me
музыка,
some
я
time out here for a minute
обосрался.
while I process this.
О, кнопки видно. Чё? Чё сказал?
Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No! No, wait! No! I need more time to process.
Опять же,
All right.
ППД.
I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turned, of
А
course,
потом я еще раз
going back down in the
поднимусь.
elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
Чуть скучно. Просто хочу, когда он взбесится.
You know what?
Почему
I
так
just thought of
быстро?
something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to
Champ.
guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice and slow? There we go. Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as
Как он узнал,
possible.
что я
They
стрим, да?
want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises, to have to think and to anticipate and then to marvel at the eventual reveal? This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years, and it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley. Because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why, oh, I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you, so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been
А теперь
following
люди
you from
снова
the
живы.
beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them.
Погоди, вот так
This is
новый
the
контент
kind of
достался
gesture
мне.
that might leave a
Я и
tremendous
забыл, как он
impact on them
доставался.
for the better. Oh, good, we're here.
Серьезно? Этот новый контент как-то по-другому, потому что я последний раз смотрел летсплей год назад.
Should be
Иисус мой.
just around the corner here somewhere.
Ну, раз так, то ладно. Я удивлен, что даже для Стэнли сделали модель, которую никто никогда не видел.
Ah, yes, here it is, just through this door.
Вот не хоть... Ладно, окей. Это ж по-любому какой-то сотрудник.
All right, are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry, you'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley. Okay,
Бля.
it looks like they're ready for you. Go get them.
А. У меня нет пути назад, да. Я смогу как-то спрыгнуть отсюда? Не. Заставляют выходить к людям. Знаете, парни, я передумал. Блин, чё?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to
Прошел
go to the
первый раз
meeting
по
room.
сюжету,
Perhaps
да.
he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange.
Голоса в голове.
I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
За женщину играем.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Бля, мне стало интересно. Ща... Я в курсе, а что такое Stanley Parable. Ща мне стало интересно. Так. А, мне сказал, что могу поставить просто для нас, окей. Братан, ты сказал, что могу поставить полночь. Поебать, не. Собирать данные, хотя бы або соглашение, что могу, не могу.
This is the story.
Блять. Блять, я думаю, что смогу поставить эту консольку. Ну нет, типа, чтобы еще одну концовку открыть. Я ж правильно поставил? Ну да. Тебе и да.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Нет.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Чё?
All of his co-workers
А если я
were
еще
gone.
раз умру?
What could it mean? Stanley
Так это
decided to
опять
go to the
РП.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room,
Ты
and Stanley
проверял?
knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes.
Буду
This
верить на
room.
слово, окей.
What a beautiful room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Я могу отсюда не могу.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you
Я
all
могу сюда?
this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
А вот не хочу. А кто меня спрашивал? А вот я не такой, как все, неформал.
Perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked... All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written
No,
out
реально.
specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see?
Да.
Vehicles? Skill trees?
Да.
Work with me. You've given
Voice
me
3.
absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some
Хуйня.
feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Говно твои идеи, переделывай.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version.
Говно.
Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free
Блять.
to be honest. I'm looking for some
Yeah.
real critical feedback here. A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a
Единичка.
1? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Ну, по-любому, когда это стимовская версия, там есть вот это, да? Даже в Steam, по идее, должно обновляться вот это говно. Или нет? Ой, я вхожу в эти 3%. Серьезно, вот это говно считается? Турки не доделано. Вот нет. Вот
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. You heartless bastard. Did you
Мне игра почему-то стала тише.
do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Не помню, ну тут вроде... Тут вроде... А, иду в Майнкрафт.
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game
Это
is
же
about?
этот Firewatch.
What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a
Firewatch
creepy
вроде.
man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose.
Да-да-да, Firewatch.
Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience
Я
of
где-то
total
вроде на Steam
mental
аккаунте есть
depravity.
Firewatch.
So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Или это Майнкрафт? Чё? Звуки-то майнкрафтовские.
Oh no. No, it can't be.
Ща. Созрел вопрос, как говорится. Может, типа из-за лицензии Майнкрафта брали? Хотя знаю, сколько Майнкрафт клонов, то удивительно. Может, это типа отсылка, типа вроде Firewatch вроде тоже на суши сделан, хз. А, Бди же, этот второй, Стэнли Парабл Duke, кстати, он вроде на Unreal Engine, насколько я помню. Можно было просто полудивать на Unreal или Minecraft.
It's an open world
Я теперь играю громко.
game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing, that big open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Rocket League. Не помню.
Wonderful. See, this is
По
exactly
оригинальной
what I
игре.
had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Я скорее
Okay,
ремастер,
so what
да.
exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what
Эх,
fun.
родные
We shall
края.
run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think
Я
surely
помню,
we
20
must.
играл
Okay,
много
Stanley,
игр.
here's the ball. Have fun.
А вроде, кстати, Rocket League как раз на Unreal сделано. Оказывается, я такой маленький по сравнению с этим мячом. В Rocket League оказалось куда больше.
Hold on, what are you doing?
Чё, там же... Да-да-да.
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
А, я подумал, что это... Потому что это Portal 2. Это же Half-Life. Ну, это же этот Dark RP родной. Ну, я пошутил. Где? Куда мне закинуло? А где голос в голове? Голоса в голове пропали, наконец-то. Неужели? Нет, не блюпринты. А, вот это блюпринты.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Блять, рестарт.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly
Что
well.
будет, если терпеть
Perhaps he
красный
wanted to
день?
stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Yeah. По-любому можно забраться. Чё я сделал?
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Хорошо.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Бля, я хотел тебе концовку показать.
Descend
Сейчас я тебе покажу такую концовку. Я, наверное, ее не видел.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
Ща.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he
Да ну,
wanted to
если
stop by
ты
the
и
employee
это
lounge
прошел.
first,
Ща.
just to admire it.
Я так
Standing
уходил,
now
да,
in this
нашел.
incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ща.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Бля. Во, вот тут. Тут, оказывается, можно пройти вот так. Тут, оказывается, есть еще
Stanley had now
места.
gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the.
Он цокнулся.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording?
Да ты
It was all
проходил?
just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie...
Бля. Я думаю, ты не видел. Чё?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Я вот тут останусь.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, 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 not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Назад, назад.
Now, let's see. We went down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Ну, не-не-не, направо, 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 да. Странно. Это должно быть что-то быть.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Well, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Я чувствую лабиринт. Так, блять.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever...
Потому что не могу закрыться в этой каморке.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps too majestic, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Бля. Я могу?
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone...
Блять, окей.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. And here it was, the lounge. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Может, я могу еще дальше
Stanley
пройти?
was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years
Мы
ago.
по этим ящикам снова. Бля, аж не могу прыгать, да? Так. Ага. Круто. Где, блядь. Я не могу... Не могу даже обратно подняться.
But in his eagerness,
Блядь, я думаю, там что-то будет.
all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now,
Я
I'm
куда
not
пойти?
asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Нет.
But in his
Как что обмануть рассказчик?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his
Ладно,
left.
попробуй по сюжету пройти.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing
Она
here,
я знаю, что
so
здесь
he
будет.
turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Это ж музыка из запуска Windows. Не помню, XP вроде.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Чё? Блять, ну ладно, невидимости нам будет. Хотел бы, конечно, отправить...
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Женщина. Коробки.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Компьютер. Офис. Это вообще на порту похоже. Кто-то реально работал над внешним видом Стэнли. Я просто взял и выключил. Папочки с бумагами. Компьютер Стэнли. Хотя бы что вот это перевели. Блять, спойлер, ты чё? Поле битвы. Хотел бы посмотреть на шутер в Стэнли Парабл из прыжков. Интересно, есть ранний, типа слива ранних билдов Стэнли Парабл? Реально Портала. Это типа смесь стевки с Порталом. Ну типа текстурки стевки. Блин, я спать хочу. Что все не могу уже. Завтра. Всем пока.